Mick and Sam, taking you to Jungle Land. Bengals pride, it fills the air. Every week we're always there. Touchdowns, tackles, all the plays. Bengals roaring every way. Stories, news, and game recaps. Jungle Juice, we bridge those gaps. Welcome to the Jungle Juice. Mick and Sam, let's break it loose. Cincinnati, hear our call. Bengals fans, unite us all.
Welcome into this week or month's edition of the Jungle Juice podcast. I'm Sam, he's Mick. Mick, it's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good. It has been a while, and not on our usual day. Well, this is our new usual day for a little while now.
Yeah, see, we work very different jobs, but yet we both have extremely busy seasons. And there is a period of about 6 weeks or so where our busy seasons overlap. Yes. And we're in that period right now. And like my busiest 2 weeks of the year are getting ready to come up, especially my busiest week of the year is coming up this week. So it's like, and you're just continuing to rise up to where you're getting busier and busier. And it just makes doing anything except work and sleep.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying our best. We're doing our best, right? That's all we can ask for.
Yep. Trying our best every day.
There we go. We're doing it. But so on today's show here, we'll recap some of the news that we missed. Obviously, we're kind of in this period where there's not a whole lot of news for us to bring as far as Bengals-wise. Not a ton. And then Mick and I both come up with a free agent wish list. So I did like players / like types of things that I wanted. I don't really know how you did it, but we'll dive into those.
Yeah, I just did players.
Yeah, I did like players, and then I have like a couple that like I need a guy like this, if you get what I'm saying. And then I have one or two under there. Just give me one of them that fits this mold. But remember to follow us on our social media channels. We're on Facebook. We're also on YouTube. You can also give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. That would be really nice. Or iTunes, or I think we're on Amazon podcasting. Do people use Amazon for podcasting? I don't know. If you do, 5-star rating that way too. I feel like everybody's
Amazon Music or whatever.
There you go. Yeah.
Some people use that.
And I think YouTube Music is a thing. I don't know if we're on that, but still, there you go. Follow us there and we'd really appreciate it. Yeah, Shoobs, we're on a Sunday. We're rolling it. But news of the week or news of the month, I guess is what we should say. There's really not been a ton. Davis Cutter is the new assistant wide receivers coach.
Dirk Cutter's son.
Correct. That's all I got. I think he came from South Carolina, if I remember reading right.
Oh,
welcome.
He coached up my one of my many botched dynasty football draft picks, Xavier Leggett.
I think he was only there last year, so no, he didn't.
Oh, then he did not do that.
Yes, I think he was only there last year. Re-signings for the Bengals came through. Jalen Davis, Kendall Milton, and Kendrick Pryor all will be back, at least in camp. I know we talked a lot about Jalen Davis, through January and some of our shows there. He'll probably be fighting for the 53rd spot again, right? Like he'd be one of those last roster spot guys. I don't think Kendall Milton or Kendrick Pryor really will do anything, right?
I don't think that he's going to be fighting for the 53rd man spot just because of how well he played towards the end of this season. I don't think he's signing to be the starting nickelback by any means. But if they're signing him to be a backup, that is for sure going to be on the roster. I think that that's probably what the intention is going to be for him. And they're probably going to be searching for their nickelback either in free agency in a couple weeks here or in the draft.
And there's one that you mocked that could fit that role as far as a potential nickelback of the future for the Bengals. I know we did our mock or your mock a couple of weeks ago. And who knows? There's some slot corners in this draft that you could potentially see fitting the role for the Bengals in that. And then we want to send our best to Willie Anderson. He's going to have a kidney transplant first week in March. So send our best to Willie.
Yeah.
It stinks because I hope this all goes well because he deserves to see his name in Canton.
Yeah.
And
best wishes to him.
Yeah, absolutely. The other kind of news-ish for the week is we're at least in the window where the Bengals can extend the franchise tag. And this has just been some of the discussion on the Trey Hendrickson aspect. You know, the Bengals, have really three options. They can tag Trey and hope he plays here next year. Maybe. Beth asks, how about, is this Bengals fashion worthy as a topic? Then show some clothes. I think, are you asking, Beth, like for the players coming in when they walk in? Because we've talked about doing that with your wife, of letting her judge the fashion of the Bengals when they come in. So, but because Mick and I, literally probably the last two people alive that need to be talking about fashion is probably us.
Yeah. It's really just quarter zips and jerseys for me. I don't know. That's about the farthest that I go with my fashion.
Occasionally we throw on a button down, Whew, getting a little wild there when we do that, when it gets a little crazy. But back to the topic, the Trey Hendrickson thing. You have three options. You tag him and you tell him to show up and play and sign the tag.
Or if you don't show up, we're just going to hold your rights and you're not going to see the field this year.
Correct. Option 2 is we tag you and we hopefully find another team that would like to trade for you. And then option 3 is we say, hey, Trey, great job as a Cincinnati Bengal. Hope you make a lot of money somewhere else. And hopefully you're signed with an NFC team that we don't have to play against you. Those are really your three options. I think option 1 is not, there's no way. There's just no way that the Bengals do that, right? Because one, Trey Hendrickson would not sign that. Option 2, though, is at least interesting. Do you explore the tag and the trade if you're the Bengals?
I could go either way on it. You tag him and you trade him, at least you get something out of it. But man, do you really want to go through all of the hoops of figuring that out? Or are you at the point as an organization where you just say, hey, we need to just move on from all of the drama with Trey Hendrickson? And the Bengals have won this entire battle with Trey for the past 2 years. They've gotten a year and a half out of Trey. You ran the risk last year by signing him to that just 1 year, $30 million deal that the moment some type of injury comes up, he is going to not further worsen that injury, and he's going to be as cautious as humanly possible given his age. And this is really his last chance for a big deal to, he wasn't going to, play, semi-injured, throughout the season. So you ran that risk. I don't know. I feel like the organization just needs to move on completely at this point. I think that also doing this to a player sends messages to agents and other players, the type of business that the Bengals front office does. And it's not entirely in good faith if they do it that way. I think you need to. I think everybody just kind of needs to move on from the situation, which sucks because the Bengals kind of played themselves. They didn't really get anything out of Trey, other than.
And you might get a compensatory pick next year. You might get a compensatory pick, but that
so
would
you're
not
giving
be
up a compensatory
27.
pick. Yeah, would you be giving it up if you tagged and trade?
But the thought process is that the pick back you'd be getting would be the compensatory pick.
Yeah.
So that's the question is do you want your compensatory pick in 2026 or do you want your compensatory pick in 2027? But then the thing with the 2027 one is that's not necessarily a guarantee because they have the rules on it, and I'm not super up on them, but to where if the Bengals go out there and sign, just for instance, Devin Lloyd, and they spend a lot of money in getting him, that can cancel out the Trey Hendrickson compensatory pick. You could there are those cancel out options to where maybe you don't get anything for him. And that is the thing. So that's like the question that Schubert's asking now. You probably would get a better return on investment in the tag and trade versus letting him walk.
Yeah.
It would be more immediate. And if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, immediate help is probably what you need.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not like I don't know, or if they're going to be transitioning to immediate Super Bowl contenders. I mean, we're just trying to get this team back into the playoffs at this point. I think that's what the thought process is. Like, we can't just say this is a Super Bowl contending team right now. It's not. It hasn't been for 3 years. So you have to, I don't know. It's again, it's not a good faith thing to be tagging and trading Trey after all of the drama that you've had with him over the course of the past 2 years. And agents take note of that. There's certain agents. Hell, the biggest agent right now in the NFL hates working with the Bengals. That's something to be said here. You got to be able to build better rapport with these guys, or else players aren't going to want to come and sign here. And these are marquee free agents, or even just really good free agents. We're just going to be stuck getting Geno Stones and TJ Slaytons for the next however long. Nick Scott's, or exactly. The ghost of Von Bell,
right? Yeah, Mike asks, Wyatt Teller reuniting with the offensive line coach. Well, that's a perfect transition into our free agent wish lists for the Bengals. I kind of went in order. I went top 5, and I think that's kind of how you did it. Did you go in? Are you in no particular order?
I got a 6th, and I have it in order. Are you able to do an order?
I'm able to do an order. I don't have 6 though. I only did 5. So why don't you drop in your 6th wish? I think we go from. Do we go from number 1 to number 6, or
do we go 6 to 1?
Okay,
6
I agree.
To 1. Build anticipation, right?
Oh boy, yeah. And
I won't have any overlap here, by the way, because there's a lot of free agents.
There are. I think we'll have at least one. At least one. Drop in your number 6. I wish I had a drum roll or something.
Oh no. For number 6, he's a guy I talked about a couple of years ago, and that's Amik Robertson, cornerback from the Detroit Lions. Also, he was with the Las Vegas Raiders when we talked about him a couple of years ago. He signed with Detroit. Did not have a great year last year. He transitioned to an outside corner role, and I think that wasn't the best place for him to play. His last season that he played in the slot for the Lions, I think he played pretty well. I mean, 60.7 coverage rating isn't great, but it isn't terrible. But I'm looking at this 89.7 run defensive grade in 2024 with the Lions. Played really well in that slot corner role. At a 5% run stop rate, which is a very high percentage mark for a defensive back to have. But if we are looking for a slot corner in this draft who isn't going to cost a lot of money, Amik Robertson is your guy, only valued at $3 million, according to Spot Rack. So a pretty easy contract for them to get to if they're looking to maybe improve on Jalen Davis at that slot corner position.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking into corners, and finding that slot, I think, is something that is needed. And that's the issue with the Bengals defense right now is you almost wish the draft was before free agency. Yeah. To where you knew how it went out and you go, okay, are you getting Caleb Downs in the draft? Okay, well then you don't need to necessarily maybe go spend at safety. But do you not spend at safety and bank on getting Caleb Downs and then not get him and maybe not get the guy out of Oregon or something, and then you're screwed? So it's all of these moving parts on this Bengals offseason that make it honestly really hard to try and nail it. Because that 10th pick is so hard to predict this year because there's so many different ways that it could go. I mean, you could have one of those guys, because I think there's a list of like 4 best case scenarios, 4 or 3 best case, and I'm talking of guys that are mocked consistently in the top 10 that you could maybe potentially see, Reuben Bain, David Bailey, and Caleb Downs. Yeah. I think those are the 3. I don't know if there's a 4th that would sneak in there of being like best case scenario. They're running to the stand to turn in the name if it's one of those guys.
Yeah.
So it's incredibly hard to predict as to where it'll go. So I think that's why you might see him spend in different positions when it comes to defense. So yeah, good pick.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, just given that this draft class isn't the most robust draft class that we've seen, it's probably weakest draft class we've seen since 2022, I think. you might have to get back to that 2020 2021 offseason playbook where you were spending in free agency and you're not finding the marquee guys per se, but you're finding like you finding your next Trey Hendrickson. It's not like
Your
Trey
diamonds in the
Hendrickson.
rough.
Yeah, your next DJ Reader, right? Which foreshadowing.
Oh, wow.
What's your number 5?
You're going to hate this. But you know what? I said this is a free agent wish list. This is not necessarily what I think the Bengals will do. But you know what? This is like, when you're on when you kind of make your list for when you're making your Santa Claus list, you always had to throw one or two things on there that you knew weren't going to happen, but it was at least fun to put on there just in the case that maybe it would, So I'm going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs. Tyquan Thornton.
Okay.
Let me explain why. We have talked a lot about that the Bengals offense, it doesn't have a ton of holes, at least in the playmaker position. But they drafted a guy to be the let's take the top off you. And that dude turned out, well, we know the story, in Jermaine Burton. So they're still looking for that. And maybe Tyquan Thornton could be that guy. Averaged 23.1 yards per catch last season, no drops as well. And he's not very expensive. His over the cap has him valued at $3.2 million.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't be very expensive. Is he the guy that you're automatically going to say is one of your top 3 receivers? Not necessarily. But I think he'd be a guy that you could throw some packages in there to just take the top off the defense, and then that creates more underneath for Jamar and maybe even T.
So what made you pick a Tyquan Thornton over? Because Gabe Davis kind of fits that mold too, I think. And
just to hurt the Chiefs too.
Just to hurt the Chiefs, take their number 5 wide receiver away from them.
Yep. And honestly, I think Tyquan Thornton would probably be cheaper than Gabe Davis too, right?
I think that they actually, let's see. Actually, I'm actually pretty, let's take a look.
I would think that Gabe Davis would cost more. No, I
don't know because Gabe Davis has been bouncing around teams for like the past few years, right? Like
wow. Okay.
1.6 million.
Okay, so even cheaper. Okay, well, I mean, listen, that would be another example of somebody that you could go in, but I just went with Tyquan Thornton of just being a guy that could potentially bring some speed to the Bengals offense, which is something that I think they need.
Yeah, I agree. I think they do need you have Jamar Chase, who's one of the fastest receivers in the NFL, but he's, more of that yak guy, more of those between, 10 to 15. He can definitely catch a deep ball, right? But he really excels in that 10 to 15 yard range where he could, break a tackle and take something to the house. You don't have somebody who's just a burner down the field. And yeah, I do think that you probably would want that at some point. So. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a need.
Yeah, and it's not one that I think they'd go with. I think if they get somebody like this, you're seeing a day 3 pick. Like them throw a dart at the dartboard and hope that I don't have a speed guy on day 3 in my wheelhouse at all. You're hoping that you're getting a guy like that is just like Barryon Brown, just as an example, at a LSU. There you go. There's your name. Just a guy who can take the top off the defense and see what you can't do from that. Who's your number 5?
Well, I said foreshadowing. My number 5 is DJ Reader, former nose tackle for the Bengals. Most recently has been with the Lions, projected to be a free agent right now. His annual average salary value is $3.9 million on Spot Rack, which is way less than it was when we wanted to, when we really wanted to extend him a few years ago. But hell, this defense has missed DJ Reader, I think, more than any other guy that's left the defense over the course of the past few years. And yeah, I'm even putting DJ Reader over Jesse Bates, just because of how much havoc that DJ Reader wreaked on the interior defensive line. I think that he helped out Trey a ton with his pass rush because DJ Reader was eating up space in the inside. And we just haven't seen anybody do that for the past 2 years. He tried Sheldon Rankins out, but Sheldon Rankins isn't really much of a nose tackle. I think he's too small to do that. And also he got meningitis?
Viral meningitis, yeah.
He got meningitis and didn't see the field for much of the season. McKinley Jackson hasn't, he showed flashes here and there, but he hasn't been consistent enough. Also, wasn't in the good graces of the coaching staff for a little while during this season. TJ Slayton, don't get me started on him. He should be cut immediately, and there's a good chance that he is. So yeah, I mean, I think that this kind of paves the way for DJ Reader to come back. Now, DJ Reader's numbers with the Lions have not been as great as they have been with the Bengals. When he was with the Bengals, he's constantly grading in the 80s. You immediately notice his impact on the field. But with the Lions, it's just, it's still been good, but it hasn't been to the mark that he was with in Cincinnati. So maybe that could change, if you get him back here, even though that hasn't really worked out for us the past few years with some Bengals free agents coming back. So, but yeah, I mean, I just love DJ Reader so much, and I just want him back on the team. And I don't know if I really care how good he is. I just love him.
Number 4 for me. This is one where I kind of I have like a generic thing, and then I have 2 players underneath of it that could fit this. And I want a veteran pass rusher / somebody who's going to bring experience onto the defensive line. You could probably say DJ Reader fits that, but I'm wanting probably somebody that's got a little more juice into rushing the passer. One name that I dropped in is, what about Jadeveon Clowney? He's been consistent his whole career, and actually turned in his highest graded pass rush grade for a season last year as a pro. He's bounced around. He just keeps on signing these 1-year deals. I think I was reading The Athletic. I think they had him projected at 1 year, $12 million or something. And I think maybe a guy like that for a 1-year stopgap to allow Miles Murphy to come along more. Maybe Shamar Stewart turns into something. You're seeing some of that growth. And then the other guy that I kind of count in that realm is a guy that we've talked about multiple times over the last couple of years. He's 85 years old, but still continuously does things, and that's Calais Campbell. He's not an edge necessarily. He's probably more slotted to be on the inside, but still had 6 sacks last year. He'll be 40, but he's still been solid, and I think he'd probably be a really good piece, especially when you got a young guy like Shamar Stewart, to just be a sponge around a guy like that. So I want a veteran with experience to come in and coach along some of these younger guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be a good fit, either 2 of them. Now, Calais Campbell, who knows? I mean, this guy just won't stop playing football. Is he over 40 now?
He'll be 40 January or September 1st.
He's going to be playing his age 40 season kind of as a rotating piece. But yeah, I mean, he's not slowed down really. It's not like he's,
I think he graded a 70 PFF grade last year, which would be one of the better Bengals defensive linemen.
Yeah.
So, and plus he's not going to cost a ton of money either, because he's 85 years old. So why not throw there? And then Clowney, he's a guy that you could maybe get a 1-year burst out of. He's older, but he's done it for a long time.
Yeah. No, I think either 2 of those, I'd take either of those guys on the team. My number 4, and I feel like you're going to hate this one, but I'm going back to last year's show on my free agent wish list. And you're going to hate this because I guarantee you've got somebody you'd rather have them resign more. I'm going Tevin Jenkins. I want Tevin Jenkins on this team. And I was kind of going back and forth between him and Reisner. But the difference between the 2 for me is that Tevin Jenkins is 4 years younger than Dalton Reisner. Dalton Reisner is 31 years old right now. Tevin Jenkins is 27. We wanted Tevin Jenkins last year. I think we talked about him pretty heavily. He ended up signing with Cleveland, but didn't end up starting for them until later in the season last year, which I'm not sure why that was the case. When he did play, he played, I think he played decently well. Grading last year, 77 offensive grade. He had a 79 run block grade and a 61 pass block, but go back to the numbers with the Bears. They were constantly in the 70s. So had some injury issues early on in his career, but I think that he is, kind of gotten past those in recent seasons. But I guess that's the one thing I'm putting Tevin Jenkins over Dalton Reisner is just the age factor. I just want somebody that is going to be who knows when Dalton Reiser's, when his play is going to drop off just because he's getting a little bit older, and Tevin Jenkins still has a little bit of youth to him. And I don't think he's going to be very expensive either. I think his average value is at $2.5 million for per spot rack. So, Tevin Jenkins.
I'd be fine with both. Like, let's just build some depth on that offensive line because and Jenkins, the positive to him too is he's got some tackle versatility as well. He can pop outside and play a little tackle in the case that you need it.
Yeah, and I think that's what the Browns were using him as.
They did. I just looked.
It was as a swing tackle.
Yep, and he even started right tackle for one game late in the season. I was just looking at his PFF stuff. My number 3, DJ Reader.
Okay, hey, there's our overlap.
There we go. Yeah, yeah. And then I also put in, a guy that I'd probably take Reader over, but Tonga from the Pats.
Kairos Tonga.
Yeah, he brings probably more pass rush out of the nose tackle position. The run grade isn't necessarily great, but brings maybe a little bit more juice out of the interior as a nose tackle pass rusher, more than the Bengals have gotten in a while. I think it's 6 sacks last year for the Patriots. But yeah, DJ Reader, pretty much for exactly what you said, kind of fitting into the Clowney and Campbell thing is to what I said as well, of you're getting a guy that can hopefully rub off on McKinley Jackson or Chris Jenkins, on some of these guys on the interior to hopefully learn a thing or two.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, man, just be really happy seeing DJ Reader back. But yeah, just being that veteran defensive tackle like that, like the Calais Campbell mentioned that you have, except he's got a little bit more youth than Calais Campbell has. So, I mean, that I'd definitely be edging DJ Reader, like you just did there. So, my number 3.
Oh yeah, you're on number 3. That's right.
I got Jalen Hawkins, safety from New England. Had a career year this year. He had a 75 defensive grade. He was pretty much playing in the full term free safety position. Watched some highlight videos from him too. Dude is a killer on safety blitzes. Like the dude was constantly just wreaking havoc in backfields. Had a really good run defensive grade as well. He had a 79.7, 74.7 coverage grade. Also, was a ball hawk at times. He had 4 interceptions on the season, 84.1 passer rating while targeted. But also somebody that he's also somebody that's feasible for the Bengals to get. And that safety position for the Bengals is something that needs to be addressed. Geno Stone is not going to be coming back, I don't think, this offseason. I think that you need to have somebody who's a better tackler for sure to replace him. But yeah, I think Jalen Hawkins would be a good fit for this defense.
Yeah, and I'm looking here. His contract projection for the Athletic is similar to what you got Geno Stone with. 2 years, $12 million.
Yeah,
so it's not
bad at all.
Not going to cost you a ton of money. My number 2 is Dalton Risner.
Okay.
Bengals offensive line this year, when they had those 5, was as solid as it's been in a long time. Don't mess with a good thing. Don't mess with a good thing.
I was going back and forth on it. I think, yeah.
Don't mess with a good thing.
If they bring back Reiser, I'm obviously not going to be very mad at it. Like that was the best starting 5 offensive line play we've seen during the Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow era. And I don't even think it's particularly close. So if you don't want to mess with a good thing, I totally get that. I think the age factor is just something that kind of creeped into my mind when I was making my list.
And it's not like he's that old.
No, he's 31.
Yeah. So, and as a guard, that's not ancient. So yeah, bring him back. It seems like he's a guy that wants to be here too, which I know that shouldn't be the end all be all, but at the same time too, why mess with a good thing? I don't think really anything else needs to be said about Dalton Risner. I think if you watch the Bengals this year, you know how important he was. Who's your number 2?
I went with Jalen Phillips.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
He's spending some money.
So part of me does think, like, if you really want to fix this pass rush, you need to spend some money to fix the pass rush. Now, I wouldn't be spending $35 to $40 million on Trey Hendrickson. So why would you do that where you can spend half of that much and try to find the next Trey Hendrickson, which is Jalen Phillips? Former first round pick for the Dolphins. Has battled some injuries early in his career, but when he's healthy, he's been productive. This past year, had a split season with the Eagles and the Dolphins. The Eagles traded for him, but had a 70.2 pass rush grade, 17.8% pass rush win rate, 10% pressure rate. Those are towards the top of this free agency class. I think only Odafe Owe had better numbers than him in that regard. Pretty good run defensive graded numbers as well. 69.2 run defensive grade, 7.5% run stop rate. But yeah, I mean, I think that this guy could be your next Trey Hendrickson, where if you just get full seasons out of this guy and, let him cook, he could be one of the better edge rushers in the league at some point. So I think you got to find your next Trey Hendrickson at some point, because who knows with Shamar Stewart and Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy at some point during last season did catch lightning in a bottle, but are you really going to put too much stock into that? And then Shamar Stewart showed you next to nothing during this first season. And I'm not going to give up on him right away, but I think you need to have somebody in there that's going to be your bona fide, dominant edge rusher on this team. So yeah, I have them spending a little bit of money on Jalen Phillips. And again, like you said, this is a wish list.
Yeah, not what you think they'll do. This is what we wish they would do.
Yes, and it's not like he's that expensive either. Like, what's a spot rack right now? I think it's at like maybe 20 million.
Yeah, the Athletic has him 4 years. The Athletic has 4 years, 98 million. So what's that? 24, a little over 24.
Okay,
right?
That number is probably more reliable than Spot Rack. Spot Rack has $17.3 million. This is market value. I think it's probably going to be more towards that $24 million range, but that's still cheaper than $30 million of Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. My number one is spend some freaking money and get us a linebacker.
Do you care which one it is?
As long as he's got a pulse and his name is not Barrett Carter, I'm okay. But is it Devin Lloyd? Is it Devin Bush? Is it?
I was going to say, is it one of the two Devons? Because I picked one of them, but I could go with either or in this case.
So are you number one the same way?
I number one Devin Bush just because Devin Bush is a little bit cheaper than Devin Lloyd.
Yeah, even Alex Anzalone. We talked about Demario Davis a couple of weeks ago.
Who was another guy that I liked?
Just give me somebody to where we can watch somebody that knows how to play line. Quay Walker.
Leo Chenal, that's another one that I'd be okay with from the Chiefs.
Just give me somebody in there that is not Oren Burks too. We don't need you need to go out there and spend a little bit of money. Ricky writes in and says, Stewart missed all of training camp and was out with an injury for most of the season. He could still surprise us. I hope he does.
He could.
I hope he does.
And we're not discounting the fact that he could surprise us, but even if Shamar Stewart starts popping off this season, you have to make a decision on whether to extend Miles Murphy or even just sign him to that 5th year, first round extension contract or whatever you call it, the 5th year option. So you have to make a decision on that too. That's another thing that you just have to take into account. And do you really want to, when you have a couple of decent edge rushers in this class and Trey's gone, I feel like you probably need to spend money towards one of those guys. And I'd be going interior defensive line if this interior defensive line free agency and rookie class wasn't so bad. There's really, there is a lack of talent in the interior. So now you got to find somebody on the edge to give you that pass rush.
But you got Peter Woods. I did see there was one mock. I think it was, I don't remember if it was Daniel Jeremiah or if it was one of the ESPN guys that had the Bengals taking, I don't remember who it was in the first round, but the second round was Peter Woods. I was like, you know what? In the second round, I'm okay with that. I know. I was like, wild. I was kind of like, oh, well, okay. That's fine. Schubert's list. There it is. Jahan Dotson. Okay. Kind of fitting that wide receiver build there.
3. Yeah.
So yeah, we agree that linebacker, you got to spend some money. Give me somebody. Somebody in there that can play competent linebacker.
Yeah. And you can start giving Devin Bush, if you sign him, the Joe Flacco treatment of the AFC North gauntlet, because we'll be his third AFC North team. And also, we finally get him, because didn't we wasn't there rumors that we wanted him in the draft 2019?
And Steelers traded up to grab him.
The Steelers traded up to get him, and then we got that guy I met in Target, Jonah Williams.
Wait, do I still have it? I probably still do.
We show it like once a month.
Hey, so there it is.
There he is. We kind of look related.
Yeah. See, in fact, look. Speaking of style, look at you there. You're got like the quarter zip over the button down. Look at you go. Wow.
Mike Jones mentions John Franklin Myers. I actually like John Franklin Myers a lot. The one thing that's
money,
holding,
right? Too much money probably this year.
He might be too much money, but also I think that he's best suited as a 5-tech 3-4 defensive end rather than a 3-tech interior defensive line. Like, you could try throwing him on the edge, but I think he's too big to even play as a 4-3 edge. So that's where I don't know if I'd be too heavily on the Franklin Myers train, even though that he might be the best interior defensive lineman in this free agency class.
Did you have any honorable mentions or anybody that you kind of thought about that maybe cut at the last second?
I mean, there's some guys I liked, but I thought that we kind of, we're kind of priced out. We talk about Nickelback, Alante Taylor out of New Orleans. I liked him a lot. His grading was decent, 67.7 coverage grade, 9% forced incompletion rate. Both of those numbers are pretty good. He's okay against the run, but he's not a world beater in that category. But I think his spot rack had him at like $12 million a year, and I wouldn't be spending that much money on a nickel corner in free agency.
I'm a little disappointed in you that you did leave one name off your list. I was expecting it. The Bengals have an opportunity this year to sign a future Hall of Famer. Mike Evans. Why not? Why not? Why not?
We have T. Higgins. Higgins.
I'm joking about that too. I'm not actually saying for that. And also just as a shout out,
we're a Bengals podcast, so we should have an episode dedicated to me explaining why Mike Evans should not be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
You don't want that as a listener. He gets very, very heated. Maybe we can have somebody that you can debate.
Mike Frank Gore Evans. It's his middle name now.
And then also shout out, again, not going to happen, but shout out to our guy Miracle. May you rest in peace. Kyle Pitts. Just like I said, if they signed Kyle Pitts, again, 0% chance that happens. I would have to buy a Kyle Pitts jersey tomorrow in honor of our
honor the man. Oh God.
And Schubert's pro Mike
just
Evans.
Because of the Mike.
It literally could.
There's my debate
anything.
partner right there. Even though like anybody can be my debate partner on this, everybody is like, oh, Mike Evans is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He had over 1,000 yards in 12 straight seasons. And they also forget to mention that Mike Evans has consistently been the 12th best wide receiver in football his entire career.
See,
okay,
his comment here, though, could be about literally anything.
It could be about a lot of things.
It could be about a lot of things. It could be completely unrelated to anything we've talked about on the podcast, too, knowing Schubert. But that'll wrap us up here for today. Stay tuned to our social media. We'll let you know when we'll have our next podcast. Like Mick and I both mentioned, we are both, like we said right off the top, we both have really busy seasons, and there's like this couple of weeks, like 6-week period where they overlap. And we are in the middle of that right now. So that makes it hard for us to always guarantee like every week, every other week or something. So I think ideally we'd try to do one right before Who Day Every Day. Yeah, absolutely, Christopher. Ideally, we'd probably like to do another one before free agency starts. But if not, we'll have it because I know we'll want to, especially once April comes around, because we both love the draft and so on talking some draft. And then once April comes around, you're mid-April, you finally get to breathe.
And and then it's my favorite time of the year. Usually the draft is like the week after April 15th. So
can't wait.
It's my favorite time.
2 months. That's all we got. 2 months.
2 months. Free agency's not that far away. We got 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah. Can't come soon enough. Can't come soon enough. That'll wrap us up here for today. Remember to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. But we technically have a Twitter. We don't tweet, but it is out there. If you just want to give us a pity follow, we won't turn it down. And we're on YouTube. Subscribe that way. 5-star rating on your favorite podcasting platform. Any parting thoughts this week?
No. Have a good rest of your week, guys. Yeah, that's all I got for you.
Look forward to it, and we'll see you next time on Jungle Juice.